Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a while since we've had one of our debrief podcasts, all the way back to August the 9th. So here we are, almost 2 months down the road. It's been a pretty busy time here at ekartingnews.com. We've been on the road covering a lot of races, and you know what? You just get buried under the workload here at the website that both David Cole and I tried to find some time to get one done, and we just weren't able to do it. So again, Rob Howden here alongside David Cole. Thrilled to be back with another podcast. It is something that's going to be more part of what we do on a regular basis heading into 2018. Of course, now that we're actually kind of into a little bit of an off season. Of course, the podcast is a big part of what will be our EKN radio network. You're going to see more of that come the end of October. A lot of great stuff that David and I have planned for 2018. Today's show being brought to you by Briggs & Stratton Racing. Not too much you have to say about Briggs & Stratton, man. They've done so much for the grassroots level of the sport here over the last couple of years. Of course, the 206 program really pressing the reset button on club karting from coast to coast, not only in the U.S. either, but in Canada as well. The 206 program really bringing a lot of people back to the sport, and great to have Briggs & Stratton on board with us. Let's bring in David Cole, the managing director of ekartingnews.com, managing editor and news desk manager. Let's put it that way. David Cole, it's been 2 months since we've been on a podcast. It doesn't seem that long, but you and I we've had the throttle down for the last couple of months, I think.
Time flies when you're having fun. Exactly.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, it's been a busy 2 months. We thought August was busy, but it just rolled right into September, and then boom, before we knew it, we're in October. So
it's September, like of any month this year, September seemed like it absolutely blew by. Like, I mean, it was Rock Island. You were at Rock Island. I was at the IndyCar Mazda Road to Indy race at Watkins Glen. All of a sudden, we're at Lancaster, and I get home, and it's October. Like, honestly.
That's pretty much how it went. It helps with kids going back to school. At least for me, kids back to school, football on TV, and the new season premieres of all your TV shows. So it's just like it's just nonstop busy. You throw in work, sleep, and eat there, and then that's it. That's your September.
Let's do a 15-second before we jump into the top news of the day. Let's do a 15-second. How do you feel about your Chicago Bears this year?
Let's not talk about the Bears.
Well, dude, you're a diehard fan. You know, the biggest issues you have was Cutler. He's gone. Like, do you not feel like?
Don't start with the Cutler thing. Come on. As we saw
okay.
in the memes online, Gannon, whatever his name is, he's a Cutler. He's just like Cutler. So we're gonna find out on Monday Night Football if Mitchell Trubisky can come in and be the savior for the Chicago Bears.
You know what, Dave? I really hope so, because honestly, when I watch NFL football, I hope the Bears do well, because I want to know what David Cole I'm going to be dealing with on Monday. Is it going to be Happy Dave? Or is it going to be Grumpy Dave? Because you never know what's going to be like on Monday.
Well, this Monday will be grumpy because I'll be waiting for the game all day.
Well, you won't be grumpy because you'll be happy because the loss will not have happened yet. It won't have happened till that night.
Yeah, but it's like the waiting for the start of the race. You got the bugs flying. You're like, you just don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to be like that kind of guy all day long.
I'll play the Canadian card. The Toronto Maple Leafs won in their opener last night. They played in Winnipeg and kicked their asses. So hockey-wise, NHL-wise, the Leafs are 1-0. That's a good start. I think we're going to have a good season.
And your Buffalo Bills are coming off a big win over Atlanta.
You know, I used to be a big Buffalo Bills fan. Not so long. I had to endure the 3 horrible Super Bowls where I was the only guy at the party rooting for Jim Kelly and the Bills.
You probably have the kicker's jersey, don't you?
No, I do not. No, Scott Norwood. No, I do not. Hey, let's go into top news, Dave. I know, obviously, as people know that, of course, follow eKarting News every morning, or listen to our debrief podcast on the way to work or coming home. You're the man that handles the news desk at EKN, and really part of the reason why we've been so unbelievably busy is there's been a ton of stuff happening. Series getting their 2018 schedules out early. A lot of movement happening in terms of specs for next year as well. Just a lot of news coming in. So, get us started on some of the stuff that's happened, at least that you want to hit on right now over the last 2 months.
Well, one of them that we learned while we were at the Summer Nationals for SCUSA was the passing of legendary Carter Duffy Livingston. Passing away at the age of 92. Many referred to him as the godfather of karting. He is who the Duffy Trophy from IKF was named after. He's been a long-time ambassador of the sport, still continued to be part of karting in some type of aspect as far as maybe the vintage stuff over the last decade or so. But
exactly.
that's so to start off on a somber note, it was really, I mean, obviously in 92, that's a great lifespan.
It's a somber thing, of course, to talk about anybody passing, but I think any of us in this sport, whether you're in the sport or in your life with your family or wherever you are, to be able to have that kind of a legacy, I think that's such a positive thing. He was such a major player in making the sport happen, getting it out of the gates, off get the green flag for the sport itself, and for him to have the legacy that he had, of course, and 92 years, a long life, had a lot of stuff after karting as well. But yeah, to get him to come back and spend some time with what is now a burgeoning part of the sport, the vintage side of karting, was really cool. But it's, again, tough to hear. But again, it was great to be able to have a guy like Duffy as such an ambassador of our sport.
So getting into the more concrete news in the sport itself, Rock Cup Promotions set out their 2018 calendar. They've taken over the Florida Winter Tour that has been very popular over the last decade and a half, maybe 2 decades, if you want to correct me on that. They're going to narrow it back down to 1 weekend a month, going to Palm Beach, Ocala, Orlando, all through January, February, and March. And then they're looking at the rest of the summer months being hosting 2 events called the Rock Festivals. They're going to have one in the upper Northeast at Oakland Valley Raceway Park in July. The first one, however, will be down in NOLA in New Orleans in May. So that'll be something new and interesting for the karting community itself. It's just an event you go to and something that the Rock program is trying to build a following again. And then they're going to wrap it up with the year-end event at the Rio in Las Vegas at the beginning of November, right around Halloween time.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad call for them, instead of trying to have a national series, more like I said, throwing on a couple of what would essentially be Grand Nationals, right? A festival where, hey, guys, we're going to have a big race at this awesome racetrack. Everybody in the local area, or if you want to come and travel, come and play. I think the Rock Festival idea is pretty solid. You're right. The Florida Winter Tour, actually, I believe, starting in 1998 and 99. I believe that was the first season of the Florida Winter Tour. So we're 20 years on with that program as well. And again, as you said, they're taking over and from Max Speed, and then the Rock the Rio. So again, they're doing what they can to lay some roots down for the Rock program nationally. It should be interesting to watch how that program develops as we roll into 2018.
Yeah, and I think going to NOLA, a track that a lot of people want to go to and experience. We went there this year with the summer with the SCUSA Pro Tour with the Winter Nationals. We've been there with the World Finals for Rotax, so it's a place people do want to go and try out at least once. So that'll give the Rock people an opportunity to go and test that out, and also the OVRP, brand new pavement, brand new track design. Well, not new, but updated track design. So Tim Hannon has done a lot of work up there, and he's building a stronger region up there in the New York area again.
Agreed. He's doing a great job, no doubt about it. Let's segue right that, Dave. It's a good segue in from the Rock Cup Promotions, obviously their own program, but right into the Challenge of the Americas. Andy Saisman making the move from Rotax to Rock. It's going to be obviously challenging. Use the word challenging. It's going to be a challenge for him to make that transition. But putting the good classes like you expect down. They're going to bring Briggs back again. Talk a bit about the class structure that Andy has confirmed for 2018.
Well, thankfully, with moving to the different engine package, the class age structure is pretty much the same, where you have your micro, your mini, your masters, your junior, and your senior. Nothing pretty much out of the ordinary in that terms, following the Rock Cup engine platform. Obviously, your senior, your masters are on the same engine. The junior uses the same GP engine with the exhaust restrictor. Your mini and micro use the same engine, except for the micro using exhaust restrictor as well too. The biggest change is tires. The Bridgestone Rock Special compound, the YLR, is going to be used throughout for the Rock category, both adding the shifter masters and senior. All the Rock karts are going to be on the same tire that is used worldwide, and it's a lot more popular tire than what we've seen in the Challenge before.
Very true.
So, and then adding to that, what we've seen throughout last year was the addition of the Briggs & Stratton 206 engine platform, where where Andy's going to provide a senior and junior class for that as well. And they're moving to the Bridgestone tire, the YLC. They have a lot of support in Southern California right now with the Briggs & Stratton engine program. The Tri-Seed Carters is what Andy's been working with, and they utilize the YLC tires, so that's what he's going to stick with for his 3 events. And again, it's the non-championship class, so it's not forcing people to travel to all 3 events, but people can travel to all 3 events or pick one or the other. So again, it's still that opportunity for local drivers to come in and race with some of these bigger teams that you typically see at the Challenge.
Well, Davey, we put you in the 206 at Phoenix. Phoenix again on the schedule for this year. They're not going to Tucson, but they're going to Cal Speed and Sonoma. Do we need to start working on potentially getting you a ride for one of those 2 tracks? I've driven Cal Speed. I've raced at Cal Speed. I got a chance to race with Mike Smith and the Cal Speed karting crew down there at a Tri-C race. I don't think I've raced at Sonoma yet. So, listen, think about it. I got to maybe get you back behind the wheel.
Yeah, I think, if I had to pick the 3, my favorite track would probably be Sonoma to drive.
It's a pretty badass track.
But again, like I said, I've driven Sonoma and I've driven Phoenix now, so maybe I would like to drive Cal Speed to try it out.
All right,
it's obviously a difficult track as it there's karts on it every single day of the year.
Sure. As I said, I ran the Tri-C race last year with Mike Smith and the team CSK on the VLR chassis. And God, I had a good time. I ran with the Masters guys in 206. God, we had a good time. It was fun. It was a heck of a lot of fun. So, actually, no, I ran the Spec VLR class because there was a bunch of young punks I had to run against. That's right. Remember that. Little whippersnappers up in front of me. So, again, Challenging the Americas, confirming their class structure. They got the schedule confirmed. Of course, we're looking forward to getting back there with our EKN Trackside Live program. It'll be live audio as it has been for the last number of years. We have a great working relationship with Andy Saisma, a good friend of ours. Let's move on to Robopong, Dave. And, man, it's tough. That race, so many people speak so highly of having such a great time over the last number of years. You look at some of the guys that have won the race, like Ricky Rudd and Ed Carpenter. There's been so many stars of racing. Joseph Newgarden, who have won at the Robopong 200, but it's not going to happen again this year, which is, I think, tough.
Yeah, he was one of the first young racers to be able to allowed to race in the Robopong, I believe, at maybe age 14 or 15 during one of the first initial years of it.
Now an IndyCar champion. Scott
Dixon was one of the first racers to race in the event as well, too. Trying to think of others. Obviously, Dan Weldon, who the trophy is named after.
Yeah. You listen. You and I have talked about the issues that we'll just talk briefly about it. We'll come back to the fact that they're actually going to have a 206 endurance race at the end of the month. But you and I have talked about the Robopong and just some of the changes in the sport in terms of why probably it's just it doesn't get the momentum right now, and that's, I think you mentioned it to me, Dave, in some of our discussions, but the fact that there just really isn't a lot of club guys racing tag anymore.
There really isn't. I mean, we're seeing the decline in WKA, we're seeing the decline in USPKS in terms of guys who are racing the tag engine. We see a lot of Masters guys doing it at the national level. It seems to be the tag Masters class is growing back again. However, they don't want to beat themselves up for 100 laps each. I mean, it's and so that's where it boils down to. The event used to be more towards the grassroots racers, where hey, you can come and race an IndyCar driver or the top driver in WK or the top driver here, top driver there in a 200 lap race with your friends. Come hang out and have a good time.
Yeah, with the pit stops and it's the strategy and just come and have a great time as a team.
When it was at its highest, it was with 93 entries, I believe, was the highest. I would say probably 75% of them were club racers. Yeah. And that's who's missing now from the event now. None of them are coming back because they know they have no chance of winning with some of the bigger teams coming in with their top drivers and spending thousands of dollars on tires because they're changing tires every pit stop, bringing in
with five or six guys in the pit stop.
I was just gonna say they're bringing in 5 or 6 guys to help pit stops So it made it more of a professional event, but it was still a fun event to attend and be part of. Now we're transitioning. They're stopping that, and they're moving into a new type of endurance event focused on where everybody is at the grassroots level, which is the Briggs package.
True. And talk more about that. I think it's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah, it was something that was already on their schedule. They were looking to do it the weekend after Robopong, and they didn't have anything worked out yet until this past week, actually. So they're going to do a 125-lap race, either Ironman or a two-man team. A mandatory of one pit stop because they're going to make sure everybody starts with the same amount of fuel. So that'll be really interesting to see how people stretch out their fuel runs. One set of tires for qualifying in the event. So it makes it, you go in at $400 entry, which includes a set of tires. It's a cheap endurance race to be part of, and you don't have to have a lot of pit crew. You just have to have somebody to fill the tank. I mean, you can get out of the cart and fill the tank yourself if you want, I guess. So
I've always said the best way to do that is to mandate a time, right? That once you come in to stop, it's 5 minutes. Pick whatever time. You can give them as much time as you want. 5-minute pit stop, click, go.
Well, that'll be the good thing about it because the 206 doesn't really eat up fuel. So it's going to be a mandatory one stop. Unless drivers can't make a stint, say 75 laps or something like that, and then they have to come in because they can't handle it. I could see you doing that.
I was waiting for that. I figured I don't know if I'd be able to do like 15 or 20 laps there. Really, come on.
I
that
think
place is
50
tough.
in a Briggs would be easy.
Easy, you say. Wow, those are pretty stout words there, Cole.
I mean, doing it in a tag would be impossible for me, yes. But in a Briggs, at least you have time to relax. Although it is a tighter circuit, because they're not doing the full down to I-70 straightaways, so it's doesn't give you quite the breathing room. So it might beat you up a little bit more, but I think they're going to have a lot of people trying it to do it on their own. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, Dave, there's a huge 206 following at Newcastle as well.
Oh, for sure,
right?
yeah.
They had a great race with the 206 Cup, had their Grand National this past weekend. We'll talk more about that in the next debrief. But there's such a good turnout that race could be absolutely massive.
For sure.
I think.
You got a lot of local guys and a lot of regional guys. I mean, I've already seen Dakota Pesic, a longtime Yamaha driver. I've never seen him race a Briggs, so this would be interesting to see him race Briggs. I think you have a lot of mechanics who wrench nationally who would love to just jump into 206 and try and run 125 laps straight just to see if they can do it.
I think for me, that's what the 206 does, right? It's so easy for someone to grab a used national two-cycle chassis, throw Briggs on it, and go have a blast and really hardcore racing and fun. That's it. That's I love it. That's the perfect part of this.
Well, isn't
Briggs
that what
206
tag
program
began? Isn't that what tag started out?
It would be a long story to go back and talk about why tag is here and how it ever started, because that's a story that you'd need a bottle of whiskey and a lot of notes from Tom Argy to actually come out.
We'll get correctly. A bottle of Gentleman Jack with some coffee mugs and talk about it later.
I think that's a fantastic idea down the line. Hey, listen, you got one more piece of top news that you wanted to bring out. Drop that, and we'll move on.
The WK Manufacturers Cup Series coming up next weekend, actually, is moving the IAME Senior and Junior tag classes to the Bridgestone YNB tire. It's the brand new tire for Bridgestone. Obviously, they had some type of stocking issues, I guess, with the YLM tire, and there's not going to be enough available, I guess, is what they say. So they're making the switch now. But the great thing about it is that they're providing one free set of practice tires and 2 sets for the weekend to race on. So a good tire exchange program with Grand Products and Margay and Bridgestone all involved, taking care of the racers because of the change. So it's going to be a good move for them, for everybody.
I like it. Again, folks, episode 9 of the EKN Debrief podcast. This show being presented by Briggs & Stratton Racing. Great to have again them on board. Stick with us. We got more to come after this break. Success in motorsports has so much to do with dedication and passion. At Phil Giebler Racing, they are our founding principles. Since our debut in 2010, our focus has always been on building champions And this weekend, we're aiming to win our 21st SuperKarts USA title. If you want to compete and win on the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour or the California Pro Kart Challenge, or just enjoy professional support at your track day program, Phil Giebler Racing is for you. And if you're a passionate driver who's focused on improving your on-track performance, let us help you reach your goals. Our goal is to bring higher, more professional standards to karting and to provide our customers with the best possible products, support, and coaching. As the West Coast distributor for the Ricardo Kart chassis line, we can help kart shops and race teams get set up as a dealer for all Ricardo Kart, Burrell Art, and Freeline products. Contact us today to take your first steps towards the winner's circle. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our EKN Debrief podcast here on the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. David, let's jump into the Ocala Grand Prix racing recap. Again, Ocala Grand Prix, fantastic racetrack, Tony Kart importer, dealer. Check them out at ocalagrandprix.com. David, we got to go way back, obviously, into August, as we've got, I think, 6 events that we've got here in the racing recap. Let's briefly touch on the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Summer Nationals, the finale. It was held at Newcastle Motorsports Park. You and I, of course, were there. We were trackside, did the full coverage all weekend long. Massive numbers in X30 Senior. In fact, 261 total entries, the largest Pro Tour event outside the Super Nationals. A great weekend. Let's start with a little bit of controversy, though, in the X30 Senior category. The title, of course, going down to the wire between Ryan Norberg and Jake Craig. Got kind of exciting.
It actually had a third party with Brandon Jarscrack if he would have stayed in there Saturday, but
that's true.
Yeah, he had his own issues with a couple of drivers as well that took him out of the title chase. Because going in, it was those 3 guys, but when we came out of Saturday, It was down to Craig and it was down to Norberg, and there was a little bit of some argy-bargy or schmozzle, if you will, going on between the two, and a couple other drivers involved as well with Norberg's teammate, Kremers.
Yeah, Marian Kremers.
So there were some social media discussions about it. We've seen some onboard footages, so it was kind of 50-50 on who's to blame for what exactly happened. I mean, it really looked like it wasn't blatant, I'm taking you out and putting you in the wall type move, but it was, if you want to pass me, you need to do harder. You need to try harder.
Yeah, and it was in the pre-final, I believe, as well. And again, it's one of those things where I guess when you look at it, a positive you take away sport-wise is that the championship means that much to these guys, which I like. I like guys going hardcore at each other. Again, takeout moves are tough. There is video there. The race directors all had a chance to look at everything. I believe Kremers was actually not able to run the main event afterwards, so the race director obviously looked at that and didn't like the move that was made. Again, it just you get the controversy because there's so much pressure. There's so much riding on it, I think, for a lot of these drivers. Now, again, I think we all know that if you win a championship here, you're not going car racing. But again, if you're a kart racer, you want to win that championship. And
hey, the ticket to the IME International Finals is on the line. I mean, that's a $10,000 ride right there.
That's very true. Yeah,
hey,
you're correct there.
And you can't deny bragging rights or just having your name etched in the history books. I mean, why? I mean, not everybody's getting paid to win at the Supernats, but everybody wants to win at the Supernats. A Pro Tour title is just as much recognition.
Hey, speaking of etching your name in the history books and on the trophy, Jake French, wow, what a championship season for him. Double win weekend in the S1 Pro Stock Honda category. Jake was just impressive all weekend long and all season long. Consistency with the Dallas Karting Complex Sody Kart. But Dave, coming into the finale, kind of took hold of it. We always wait for a driver to stand up and take hold of a championship. He didn't back into it. He came in there and won both races. That was huge.
Well, yeah, he put a string of 6 podium finishes, and when you do that, you know you're onto it. So, but like you said, to cap it off with 2 wins, just kind of adds 2 exclamation points, saying, "I'm the man. I won it. This is mine." Type thing.
Hey, go through the championship. Obviously, some quality champions in this category and in this series. It really is unrivaled in terms of the level of competition. The SCUSA Pro Tour, undoubtedly the upper echelon of high-end sprint kart racing. You can talk about great racing wherever you are, 206, Yamaha, whatever it may be around the country in North America. But man, there's all the big drivers come head to head. So to win a championship on the Pro Tour just means so much. I'll let you list through some of the champions that actually walked away from Newcastle with the big trophy.
Well, looking at S2, Riley Dickinson, he merged at the Winter Nationals with a victory. This young, now 15-year-old kid, was 14 then. Just he's kind of come from nowhere. We've seen him a few times in at the Challenge. I believe he was at the Challenge one time. Here and there, just kind of doing the Rotax thing, and then boom, he jumps on the stock Honda program, and he just kind of found his home, and so he was able to click off a win at NOLA, click off a win in Sonoma, and came in and won Saturday at Newcastle to pretty much wrap up the title going into Sunday. So it was another big second straight year that Dallas Karting Complex and Sodi won the S2 division.
Yeah, that's what I was going with that. Way to follow up on a great season for Austin Wilkins the year before. DKC comes in on the Sodi kart, wins another one. They've got a really strong shifter program at that program. That team, very impressive.
And while the numbers might not have been there in S4, we still had a championship battle between two former champions, and one of them came out with another one. Jordan Musser was able to defeat defending champion Ryan Kinnear in the S4 category. Those two kind of went back and forth all year long. I think Ryan had a little bit of bad luck early on in the year and just quite wasn't there, but he was able to finish with a victory in the final round to at least stand tall and say, I did my best, and especially coming into the weekend sick. So
I was going to say, yeah, he was really ill,
very ill. So he was able to emerge there, and then at the same time, good old Robert Marks defended his S4 Supermasters title, beating off Mike Jones, and then throughout the year on that. So another two-time champion in that category as well.
Badass.
Exactly.
Hashtag badass.
Exactly. Look, there's nobody that sits lower in the cart than that guy does.
He looks like a cadet.
And he's not that short. He's not that short.
Easy now. He's height challenged for sure.
Not that bad. He's
5'4", 5'5".
Okay, maybe I just don't notice it.
That's built for karting though. Every Italian go-kart was designed around a 5'5" Italian kid.
It's true. That is true.
Right?
So,
all right, keep going. You got 4 more to go.
Another driver to defend his title was Derek Wang in the X30 Master Division. Didn't pull off a victory this year, but was able to be consistent throughout the year, stay out of trouble for most of the season, and came away with a championship. Winning, though, throughout the year was Dylan Tavella. So Tavella came away with the X30 Junior title, adding to his long list of victories and championships that he's won over the last decade, probably.
He's been fun to watch the last couple of years, is he not, David? We've been watching him come from the cadet ranks, and man, what a talented young driver. Started to really develop that controlled aggression. As opposed to just being kind of over. Young kids are sometimes over their head and throw the car in there. He's got that poise and relaxed comfort, maturity. I like to see that, the controlled aggression.
No, he's done a very phenomenal job. Huge. Bigly.
Huge. That, you know what? That can go away anytime.
Sorry.
I don't mean you. I mean
guy.
just
okay. Never mind.
Cultural. Okay. No, not the guy. Yes, the huge. That can go away.
Should we go back to hashtag winning?
No, please. We can go hashtag winning. I like that.
Mini Swift. Which Morgan was it? It was Carson Morgan who came away with a championship. He pretty much knew where he had to finish Sunday. He didn't even try for the victory. We kind of could see it on the last lap. He was kind of already celebrating halfway through the lap, knowing he had won to clinch the championship, which kind of went down to the wire, but he had earned himself enough points to be able to claim his first SCUSA Pro Tour championship. And then rounding out the categories with Micro Swift and Elliot Cox winning it on his home track.
That's it. Big one
finishing
for Elliot,
last year third, moving up to the number 1 spot this year. I'm sure he's going to be, again, the best dressed guy at our SCUSA Pro Tour banquet.
Well, I might have to challenge him. I might have to run a tuxedo to get by him because, man, he looks good. That kid knows how to dress.
What color is the tuxedo?
Oh, I might have to go full Dumb and Dumber yellow, I'm thinking.
It was orange.
Well, I'm colorblind, remember? Oh, God, I struggle to some days.
Did you hear that flag, people? If Rob comes by and doesn't put his hand up for a yellow flag, you know why.
Throw me the orange flag.
Yeah, throw him the orange flag.
All right, it was a great weekend, of course, at the Summer Nationals. Always exciting. What we have 60-something or 59 or something drivers in the X30 senior class. And I'm going to give them props for the most part. I thought the racing was pretty clean. There was a couple guys that were getting stupid, but for the most part, it was actually a pretty decent weekend, respect-wise.
Yeah, all without the pushback bumper, too.
Yeah, exactly. I bring that in, we'll be fine.
Well,
all right, Dave. Move on to the Manufacturers Cup Series, the AMK Nationals. You were there. Give us the update.
Yeah, that was
the report. Not the update, the report.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks after the Summer Nats over at the Wolf Paving Raceway in Dousman, Wisconsin. Everybody knows that's the home of the Badger Kart Club. It was a light turnout, not able to break the 100 mark. Not quite sure why that is. Some people say they don't want to travel through Chicago to get to Wisconsin. I'm just like, well, if you go the right route, you're going to be fine.
Well, how about just excuses? You're a driver. Go.
Yeah.
Come on.
And the Badger Kart Club does a phenomenal job keeping that facility maintained, upgraded, or updated, and clean.
It really is. To me, Dousman's one of those jewels in our sport.
It really is.
Such a great track.
And I think again, because it challenges the driver because there's no time there for a break. You're always turning. Not even on the straightaways, you're turning because there's a kink coming or you're setting up. And so I think the only thing that was a negative that we could kind of see was the new section that they added. They put down the Rhino ceiling that we've seen at Dallas Karting Complex and stuff like that. So it provided a really different challenge because you go from the old pavement to the new pavement. Well, if you're loose on one end, when you go to the new stuff, you're bicycling on that end. So it was a bit of a challenge for the drivers, but a little bit of rain threw in another challenge again. But other than that, the event went smooth, and I don't think they were in the ambulance run, so that was good.
That's a big plus. You'd said a couple drivers actually stepped up. Tell us who was good.
Yeah, in the two senior categories, Alex Kardashian, he won both Yamaha and IAME on Saturday, and then Braden Eves came back on Sunday to duplicate that feat by winning both Yamaha and IAME.
Labor Day weekend's obviously a big one in karting, and while I'm absolutely thrilled that I get a chance to be part of the Mazda Road to Indy and work with IndyCar Radio Network when we go to Watkins Glen for the Labor Day event, the finale of the Mazda Road to Indy, it kills me that I'm not able to go to the Rock Island Grand Prix. I've been there, 15 straight years at one point. I hate it that I don't get to go, but you've taken my place in terms of being there for EKN. Of course, Tim Coyan on the mic. You get a chance to race, which I'm jealous of, and it sucks. But, man, you know what? I was able to tune in a little bit in my breaks when I was at Watkins Glen. And just to see the fact that they topped 300 entries for the first time in, probably 10 years, such a huge deal. I'm really happy to see Rock Island starting to get that momentum again. People are starting to feel what it's like to be a part of that race again.
Yeah, it's the numbers speak for itself because we haven't reached that 300 mark until 2007. The racing on track was competitive, kept you on the edge, not knowing what's going to happen. And it's just racing in front of spectators, people who don't even know us. They just come out and they love to watch us year in and year out. I mean, I'm sure there's people now who went there as a kid who are now taking their kids to go watch. I mean, that's how long this event's been going. So it's an exciting event to be part of each and every year.
So let's talk about the drivers who were able to pick up the rocks. Obviously, we mentioned Duffy Livingston and the Duffy being a big trophy. When it just comes to that single named trophy, you've got your Screaming Eagles and that kind of thing. The Rock's one of the most iconic. This race has been around for 20 years now. Who were the guys that were able to put a rock on the trophy shelf?
Well, the last 2 years have been dominated by Tony Nielsen and Cal Stewart. Tony, we saw, picked up 6 that one year in 2015. Last year in 2016 was Cal Stewart with 5 in his first ever 5 rock trophies. So those two led this year's event, each picking up 3 of their own. It was a kind of crazy battle to watch because one would get one, then the other would get one, and they would kind of go back and forth. So it was fun to watch that. I think they've been watching each other all weekend long, seeing what the other was doing. I think Stewart really might have had the chance for a fourth had he had an engine not start at the start during one of the Yamaha races. So and then Nielsen picked up 3 of his own. They each had their like Cal picked up and one in tag, and Nielsen picked up one in Briggs Masters. So they each got one without racing each other. The other 6 classes that they were in were against each other. So it was fun to watch.
I love it. That's awesome. But anyway, Austin Wilkins coming up as well. Good to see a little bit of kind of renewed excitement in the King of the Streets battle, the shifter kart battle. Austin and the DKC Sody kart guys rolling up to grab a little rock of their own.
Well, as you know, the street race there, it's about speed, and it's about being nuts.
Yeah, I've driven 125 shifter a couple times in the Masters category, once in the rain. It's all about being a little bit nuts.
So Austin Wilkins came up last year for his first time and ended up finishing the event with the fastest overall lap ever recorded at the Rock Island.
Yeah.
So this year that he came back, this year rather than in addition to being the fastest guy there this year, he came up and won the King of the Streets race and won the open shifter class to leave with his first 2 rocks as well.
Cool to think of some of the guys that have put that crown on before, like a Scott Speed, Bobby Wilson, Alan Rudolph. You go through some of these guys that back in the earlier days have been able to wear that crown. It was a pretty amazing thing to be able to win at Rock Island, I think, in King of the Streets. They're all big, of course, but in the shifter kart world where we came from with Shifter Kart Illustrated magazine, that was our big thing, was to be able to find out who was going to win the King of the Streets.
For sure. My first year, it was watching Rudolph, it was watching Kyle Wiegand, it was watching all these guys that I had read about in the magazine that we were doing, and even on eKarting News. Seeing them race in person, it was pretty exciting to watch, and it still kind of is. It's got that, thanks to Josh Lane, it's kind of gotten that rejuvenation because he's just there to race whoever he can, the best of the best. Last year, Remo Ruskitty came down from Canada and put a whooping on him, and he wanted more, but and so he brought in Wilkins, he brought in some other guys that came in for the first time from the East Coast, so I think. And it has that fun factor too, where there's no stress. You go out there, you get your sessions done, and you go out and you race, and you try to be the fastest you can, and you try to push it to the limits as best as you can.
I agree. That's the thing I love about Rock Island. It doesn't have that stress of having to bang out all these 6-7 different sessions a day. If you're running just shifters, you get a couple chances to be on the track with 2 different categories. It's more laid back, but you're allowed to go out and have a good time. Now, one of the things I think we've talked about, David, is that the race, obviously over 300 entries this year. And again, in big thanks to the fact that 206 has got so much momentum. Number one, 206 being nearly 60% of the entries this year, but plus the Margay Ignite program. Such a great program from Margay, the spec chassis, everybody on the same cart. Not just the same engine, not just the 206, which as a spec sealed package is leveling the playing field across the board. Margay went that one step further, built a full spec program. They've been to Daytona. They're doing their own stuff over at the Gateway Kartway. They've got a deal going at 61 Kartway as well. They've got the Ignite Challenge at Rock Island. I know you've had a chance to race it a couple times as well. Just a great program to be able to allow people to come in there, either rent a ride or bring your own Ignite and have fun on a very level playing field.
Well, that's part of it because a lot of these, especially in the Yamaha classes, some of these guys have been there for 15 years. And they know exactly what their cart needs to be set up. Where the Ignite, everybody's on basically the same package, and you do a little track width, maybe a little cast or camber change to adjust your driving style, and you go. There's no magic setup with it. It's all about driver and being able to push the limits, even like you do in the shifter. So it's really fun. I mean, a lot of these guys, they don't get away from their local track, so this is their one opportunity to kind of get away and travel to a premier event and have fun.
Well, I know you have an EKN on-track article coming from your race in the Margay Ignite. It's not going to have a happy ending. But you were strong, David, yourself in your own driving. And the eKarting News crew has done fairly well at Rock Island. Tim Blaney had a good run back in the day with Shifter Card Illustrated in the tag senior class. Had a chance at a win. In Masters. Was it Masters? Are you sure?
Yeah,
It was Masters.
Yeah.
I had a great run a couple years ago. Started second to Tony Nielsen in LO206 Masters. Ended up in fourth. No one's ever started on the pole before. You're the first staff member to start on the pole. You had a couple good runs in the Heat program. Man, what was it like to start on the pole at Rock Island?
I'm going to have to see if Bonner started on the pole when he raced there, because then I could be like the top journalist at Rock Island then, right?
Wow, that's true. You probably could be.
So,
well, I think calling you a journalist is a stretch, don't you think?
It's true. He's much more of a journalist and a driver than I am.
Is he? He's a mechanic now. You're still a journalist, at least.
He's more of a driver coach. I've never really seen him wrench before.
Wow. That's a double drop. I just said he wasn't a journalist, and you said he wasn't even a mechanic. Wow.
But no, about the event, yeah, it was a unique thing to start on pole. Now that they have the heat races on Saturday, you do the P-pick, and so last year I think I started on pole on a P-pick, which isn't very fun because you don't get the passing points. This year I drew last in the Masters class and was able to go from 19th to 2nd. Now that, I'm telling you, is the most fun you'll ever have. Even though I finished second and came like 1 foot away from winning the race in just 10 laps, that was probably the most fun I had ever at the Rock Island, aside from off the track.
Yeah, I was gonna say, aside from dressing up like the Travoltas and rocking out.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what? We're not going to go into much more because those of you who may not have read the whole race report, David's, of course, going to do a full on-track article, EKN On Track, about his Margay Ignite experience. That'll be coming up on the site very soon. So let's move from Rock Island to, 2 weeks later. I was actually out at Pat's Acres Racing Complex in Canby, Oregon. It's been a long time, almost 15 years, I think, since I've been to the track. The Egger family, of course, I'm very close with them, Chris and Lisa and the kids. But to get back to that track, another iconic facility. We were there for the finale for the Can-Am Karting Challenge, a really cool weekend where they, instead of having 2 full days of racing like they normally do, they do qualifying, heat races, and on Saturday, then pre-final, final on Sunday, kind of a championship weekend deal. Lots of points up for grabs. Man, it was a fun weekend. The biggest event ever in the series history, 110 entries, solid fields in the shifter and LO206 classes. The shifters also teamed up and had, I want to say, a half dozen or more added drivers coming in from the Oregon Two-Stroke Championship. They were there. I think over 20 drivers in shifter. I think we had 29 in LO206 senior and 10 each in junior and cadet. Just a fantastic atmosphere, David, to be out there. That track's kind of in the middle of a forest. It almost seems like big, huge tree right in the middle of the front straightaway, which in the history of that track, no one's ever hit, by the way. It was just fun. We had a lot of fun. It kind of rained on and off on Sunday, so you never knew what tires you're going to be on. Bottom line was we just had a really good weekend. There was a lot of fun racing. There's a lot of really great drivers out there. And I'm looking forward to going back next year. I talked to Mike Rollison. They want us to come back with the EKN Trackside Live program. I think he's looking at potentially evolving from 3 races to 4 races in 2018. And I know Mike's planning on sending out a survey later in October to all the racers and saying, hey, what do you guys want? What classes do you want? There's a basic movement where he's going in terms of classes, but he's going to ask them where they want to race, what tracks potentially they want to race at. So, Mike is a racer. He's a team owner with Rollison Performance Group. He's a promoter. Very similar to what Tom Kutcher's done on his route up, obviously, to Supercarts USA, being a racer, a shop owner, and now a promoter. And I think when you have all 3 of those disciplines within your experience, you're able to make different decisions. And I think Mike's doing a great job with the Can-Am Karting Challenge. And I'm jacked for 2018, and I know we're going back to the park. So Pat's Acres, one of my favorite tracks. It was a great event. 110 entries and just awesome racing, David.
Talk about how the shifter division grew so big. I believe it was a partnership with another program.
Well, it's the Oregon Two-Stroke Championship. Randy Word from Word Racing has kind of brought a lot of guys together, guys that may not travel all over the place. And even Pat's Acres, they only run like 5 club races a year. It's normally they do drift events. They have obviously 4 hire rental karting as well. But this is a track in Oregon where Randy has, I want to say he's got between 5 and 10 guys or more that come out and run, and they just cherry pick some races. Hey, we're going to go up to Tri-Cities to Richland for their night race. We're going to go to the park and race with Can-Am. They come in. It's a different entry fee for them. They only raced on Sunday. Not all of them were there on Saturday. Some did, but most came in on, there's 5 or 6 guys that came in for just Sunday. It's just Pat's Acres. There's a lot of guys from Oregon, and they wanted to come out and run. And it was a great field of drivers. We had 6, 7, 8 throughout the season. Of course, Kyle Wick, nationally ranked driver, laid a beating on everybody. Zach Pedinici, who just scored a Pro Kart Challenge Championship in the S3 rookie stock Honda category, was his primary challenger. The guy kind of was the best of the rest on the year. But Pat's end of the season, September, with the O2S series jumping in, there was just that momentum to bring a bunch of guys out and really have probably what was one of the bigger shifter kart races in the Pacific Northwest all happening that weekend. So there's a lot of momentum for this series. There's a lot of great people behind it. People are having fun when they're there. Wick Fabrication put on a great barbecue on Friday night. We had some awesome tri-tip. It was just, it's just one of those weekends where everybody was having a great time. And that's, I think, what karting's all about.
Now, looking to the future, they haven't made any official announcements regarding how their class structure is going to look next year, have they?
Well, that's I think they're going to throw the survey out. Mike's told me, and I think he's told everybody, that the Mini and Micro is going to be Swift. They're moving in that direction in the X30, the IAME direction. I would not be surprised to see them go to X30 Junior next year for the junior category. It was a heavily Rotax series, or a Rotax series primarily for the last number of years. And with that program essentially all but gone to a certain extent here in the U.S., Mike's got to make some moves. But what I think he's probably going to do, I'm going to speculate only on conversations that I've had, and he's leading this way, and of course he's probably going to want to bounce it off his customers. But the idea for senior and masters would be to go to a tag format. That way, if you're a guy that wants to run nationally with an X30 IAME, you can do that. If you want to run nationally with a Rock, you're going to be able to race that too. So go back to really what that racing has been about for the last, let's say you go back 3 years and then go back to further 10. It's just tag racing. I think he's going to run a tag category. That would be my prediction, that you're going to run X30. You're going to be able to run Rock. You can run the Italian Motors X125. You can run a Leopard if you want. The idea is to if you got an engine that's tag legal, come on and race, because we're the place to race. That's, I think, Mike's concept, and kind of open the door as the transition kind of happens to full X30. That's my thought. There you go. Hey, you, again, we talked about at the top of the show, we never really stopped. We did Summer Nats. You went to Dousman. You went to Rock Island. I went to Pat's. Then you went to USPKS at Audubon. We never stopped. It was almost every weekend we had something going with the EKN Live program.
Yes, traveling to the Audubon Country Club for the first time. I believe you've been down there on the big track.
Yeah, I tested the Formula SCCA car there. That was fun.
Yeah, so this was the second major karting event they've had there, because they had the Route 66 Sprint Series in August. So this was the second event of the year that they've had there. And it's a combination of a temporary small kart track that breaks out into the skid pad for a temporary portion of the track. So it was just over a half-mile circuit, which kind of made it, it had a little bit of character, a little up and down, little obviously side-to-side stuff, but it definitely it was a track full of character, and it tested the drivers that were there. Unfortunately, there wasn't very many drivers there, with recording the lowest turnout ever in USPKS history in the 5 years that the program's been going.
End of the season, we've seen it over the many years we've been doing this, Dave. Last race of any series normally falls off quite a bit. Guys that aren't in the championship anymore, guys will always easily find an excuse if they want to save some money for another race. You know what I mean? I don't want to travel. It's too far. It's a temp circuit, whatever it may be. I hate to see that, because USPKS has been such a vital part of, I think, the revitalization, or at least the stability of two-cycle racing in the Midwest. So it's always tough to see a program have a low point in terms of capping off the season.
It just we've seen the low point before. It's just never been this low. So, but throughout the weekend, the championships were decided. Brandon Jarzakrak, Alex Bertignoli were your top senior drivers. Jarzakrak in the IME division, Bertignolli in the KA 100, becoming the inaugural series champion for that category. Max Kowalski won the IAME Junior. James Lynch, Yamaha Junior. Mateo Rubio Luengo was able to wrap up 2 championships, one in the Yamaha Cadet division and the other in the Micro Swift division. He'll be moving up into the Mini. He already moved up on Sunday that weekend, so we'll be seeing him in Mini competition throughout 2018. But the guy that won Mini was Cruz from the Nitro Kart program. He won Micro last year, and he won Mini this year. So this kid is another possible Tavella in the making. Another calculated driver, knows where he needs to put his kart to be able to be in the hunt for victories. So a lot of young good talent here on the East Coast, definitely.
I was gonna say Cruz working with a guy like Nick Tucker too. You know, the veteran guy that's been around forever, young kid himself, won a bunch of championships, and it's good to see the coaching and the mentoring work when you get some of these kids that really start to show their talent. I love to see it. You know, funny, Dave, as I look up and down the Ocala Grand Prix Racing recap here, you know, we have our notes that we work from. Largest Pro Tour event, biggest Rock Island since '07, biggest series event in Can-Am karting. And we move on to the largest event in the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. It's interesting, people, you know, there's people that will talk on social media about the sport maybe not being in good shape right now. I don't know, dude. You and I talk about Operation Grassroots and big 206 numbers at places. Next debrief, we're going to talk also about the 206 Cup Grand National. KPX, we're going to have the KPX guys on for a podcast soon. There's big numbers in a lot of places. There are some series, a lot of clubs that are really strong right now. And I think I would like to have that feeling kind of permeate through social media, because it's not doom and gloom. We've got a lot of great stuff happening in the sport right now.
Definitely. It's good to see the grassroots movement coming in, but like you just said, we're seeing it at the top level as well too. So it's always the argument. Well, there's too many races. Well, there's not enough races. It's just people are trying to find the best places that suit them. A lot of people are racing at the regional level right now. The Route 66, the Gear Up F Series that just wrapped up this past weekend as well too.
Yeah.
Like you
said, 2 fantastic series.
The Can-Am karting program, the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. Some people just stay at that level. They don't want to go up, or they that's their national level racing where they go. So go ahead.
I was going to say we're gonna jump into Streets of Lancaster, David, but you made a great point there, and I think that's just and we'll throw some commentary here in the middle of this recap, but it really is the mindset you have to have. I've been able to work my way through. I've never been a national level racer. I was into the industry, into the journalism side before that, but karting's pyramid's 3 levels, and we talk about this all the time, David. But it's club, regional, and national. You can be a club guy, love your club, and then you do some regional racing to challenge yourself. Or you can be a regional level guy. You base yourself at regional level racing, and you try some national stuff out to have fun. You run Route 66 or whatever, F Series, some of these great regional, national, like solid regional series that are within your driving distance, and then you go try national somewhere. Or you're a national guy that runs all national racing and maybe does some regional races as well. Like you said, a club guy, when he goes to a regional, that's his national. When you I remember racing club when I was first started. And I went and ran what was called the OKRA back then. That was our big regional series in Ontario. And my God, like I felt like I was going to the Toronto Indy. That was my national, going to our OKRA events. And I think when people have a better understanding of the realistic pyramid of karting, they don't pressure themselves to run a national. If you're a club guy, don't worry about national. Go to a badass regional and enjoy yourself.
Even Rock Island. For those people that have been going there for 15 years or more, that's their super nationals. So that's the trophy they want. They don't care about any other trophies. They don't care about any other event. That's the one they want to win. So that's why I love watching regional programs grow and get bigger and bigger, because it shows that our sports, it's growing still.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. So, and that goes into the Streets of Lancaster. One of the reasons why I think that it's become it had its largest turnout, David. How many guys did we talk to who just said, this is my favorite race? I love being here. I love running the streets. I love running in front of the people. S1, S2, and X30 Senior ran Saturday night in front of the a packed crowd. The crowd was hopping. It was so much fun. And amazing racing. Of course, Nick LeDuc. What a massive win for Cambrian Karting. Another Sody Kart victory as well in S1. Cole Bailey for Leading Edge Motorsports, working with Greg Bell and Gary Carlton. Cole's really kind of settled into that crew on the Praga. Man, he was good. And then Dante Yu winning an X30 Senior. David, what a battle. We had Austin Garrison in there in a comp cart, of course, Dante and his dad. And I learned more about this on the weekend. Him and his dad, working with Chris Wareheim as driver coach, out of the back of a pickup truck on a comp cart. He wins over Garrison, who was working around with Formula Works, and Wesley Boswell coming back out with Rawlson Performance Group to race. That would have been a good battle to see finish, but after Garrison got in the wall, it ended up being just Dante running to the win. But what a great win for Dante Yu to be able to win here at Lancaster as well.
It was definitely young versus old, right?
It was. Yes,
it was almost East Coast, West Coast with an old guy in there, right?
That's exactly it was. It was Florida versus California and the geriatric set coming in later. I feel bad calling Wesley Boswell old because I remember watching him as like an 80cc junior driver at the Oceania Grand Prix when he first started, him and his dad. It's hard for me to say Wesley's old because is he even 30 yet?
In terms of karting, he is, but you got to remember that.
Well, he's in that no-go zone, right? Back in the day when you were 24, 25, you were just getting ready to be a pro S1 driver. Well, now, once you're 18, 19, 20, if you're not in cars, you're a mechanic.
Yeah, he's like a Tim Coyne or TJ Coyne.
TJ Coyne, definitely not like a Tim Coyne.
Although he would love to be an announcer. Boswell he's got a great Chris Walker impersonation.
He wanted me to come in. He wanted to work with me at Pat's Acres, but he didn't show up on Sunday. I don't know where he went. Well, you know what? We'll try to get Boswell on the mic for a little bit at Supernats. How's that sound?
That'll be good.
All right, folks. There's your Ocala Grand Prix racing recap. Next up, stick with us. We're going to come back with the K1 Race Gear Racing Calendar. In racing, you always want to be focused on improvement. Improving your driving, your braking, your lines, and your understanding of chassis dynamics. At the Rawlson Performance Group, we specialize in driver development and providing a platform to maximize every opportunity for success. Our staff is made up of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. We're dedicated to your development, your constant improvement, and your success. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. It's what we do. We win. RPG can provide training and trackside support for many of the sport's biggest programs. In 2018, we will be running the SuperKart USA Pro Tour, Winter Series, the Super Nationals, and both the California Pro Kart Challenge and the Can-Am Karting Challenge. If you're looking forward to 2018 and you want to explode out of the gate to put in the best season of your life, call us to reserve a space under our tent for the inaugural SCUSA Winter Series. We'll be in Florida to win championships, and we'd love to have you with us. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network. Rob Howden here with David Cole. David getting a chance to not do the production side right now, just to get us to hang out and talk, which is good. David, let's just look really quickly forward. A couple of races in front of us here now. This weekend coming up, WK Gold Cup running down at Barnesville. Legendary racetrack. We've used the word iconic racetrack a couple of times. Barnesville, maybe top of the list. You think?
Oh, for sure.
Wow.
Lots of races. I've been watching on YouTube a couple of videos of like 1980s, early 80s type races down there. So it's got a lot of history with it. So it would be interesting to go down there and try that track out.
Just a couple more minutes left in this EKN Debrief. Let's wrap things up with October 13th, 14th, 15th. Maybe one of the more busier weekends of the year in terms of David Cole and I and anybody racing in the U.S. as well. Or, U.S. racers racing internationally.
There you go.
David, you're EKN Trackside Live. You'll have the live broadcast down at the WK Manufacturers Cup finale at GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville. Fantastic track. Of course, folks joined David. Live play-by-play at ekartingnews.com/live all weekend long. We'll find out who win the championships. I myself will be over. Can't wait to get down to Alan Rudolph's Speed Sport facility in Houston, Texas, the finale for the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. I'll be down there. I think they're going to try to figure out a way to do a live broadcast through the Texas Pro Kart Challenge page. So we'll be streaming my live broadcast as well, potentially. And then two massive events. You hope these people don't keep putting this race on at the same weekend, but the Miami International Final in Le Mans and the Rock Cup International Final in South Garda, a number of Americans and Canadians running at both of those races.
Yeah, I'm working on a list that we can put out either at the end of this week or next week, just kind of to get people informed on who's actually racing at these two races. So a lot more people are going to be in France now with Superkarts USA sending people, Miami East, USA East sending people out there. Mark Coates' program, the USBKS program, sending people there. So it's a lot of racers there. But of course, the Rock Cup International Final, tons of racers there from all over the world, but especially from the United States and Canada as well. So it'll be interesting. Race. It'll be interesting to see who can emerge from both of those events as contenders.
You know what? I've had a chance to be at the Rock Cup International Final on a number of occasions as the guest of Vortex and Tony Kart and OTK. Cool to hear, though, that a guy that's worked with us on a couple occasions, you even more, Xander Clemens is going to be the English-speaking announcer at the Rock Cup International Final. I think that's really cool. I think he's working alongside Yannick Sturzel again from T-Kart. Awesome guy. I always had a great time working with Yannick. But good on Xander Clemens to get a chance to spread his wings a little bit to an international race. I guarantee you he is going to love it over there. He won't drink as much wine as I did when I was there, but like zero, but he will have a great time. All right, Dave.
What is it? Yeah, what is the drinking age there?
I think it's 12.
There you go. See, so he might be able to have.
They'll have a glass
glasses
of wine with dinner for sure. They'll give him a small sippy cup or something, I think.
I want to when we see him in Daytona or wherever else we see him afterwards, or even
I know what you're
Vegas,
gonna say.
Maybe I want to see if he has his Italian.
Does he have his Yannick Sturzel impression ready to go? Yeah, I want.
Yeah, does he have it ready?
I'm sure because I know when I was there, all the corner workers kept doing green, green, green to me every time they see me. Hey, it's you, green, green, green. Oh, do it. Hey, Dave. Any other words to wrap things up here? Big weekend, as we said, coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then after that, Vegas, baby.
Wow. It's again, that's the way this year has rolled through. We're going to cap off Barnesville this weekend. You and I are both on the road for the weekend after that. And then, man, Supernats is going to roll up on us. I cannot wait. Brand new parking lots. I think the track that's going to be, obviously designed by Howie Idelson, Bonner Moulton, and with help this year from Wesley Boswell is going to be tremendous. Those guys have a year doing a track, which I think will pay dividends. So much room to work with. It's Vegas. It's the 21st annual Super Nationals. It's the 21st race I've had a chance to call. We're going to be there. You and I are going to do a bunch of new stuff, add some more components to our EKN Trackside Live coverage. It's going to be awesome. Let's wrap this edition of the EKN Debrief up. We want to thank those of you who listened in, who may have shared your drive to work or drive home from work with us. That's the idea. We want to make sure that you guys can have this on whether you're in the office, whether you're out working on the cart in the garage, whether you're driving to or from work to try to ease the monotony of the commute. Thank you for tuning in. Big thanks to our sponsors of this particular broadcast as well. Briggs & Stratton Racing. You can reach them at briggsracing.com. Ocala Grand Prix, ocalagrandprix.com. No D, of course, in Grand. It's Grand, ocalagrandprix.com. And K1 Race Gear. If you're looking for a new suit for 2018, good time to order it right now. K1RaceGear.com. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of David Cole, this has been Rob Howden, another part of the EKN Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another EKN Debrief.